Good morning. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Mahalo. Our opening hymn this morning is number 38, Morning Has Broken, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and please stand and body your spirit and join us in singing hymn 38, Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's dew fall, solid from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sung in completeness when God's He passed. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the moonlight, it is our play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Laura Luna, a friend of the worship committee, and Grace Pruce and I will be your worship associates today. Other members of the worship committee who make this service possible include Alec Peck, our music coordinator, who will be also leading our service today, Adam Wedeking, who is monitoring our visual and online connections, and Kate Lewicki, who is in charge of our sound system. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We welcome all of you to our service and to our spiritual community. This is a place where we come to listen and to be heard, to learn and to explore, to understand and to be understood. Creativity is a part of everyone's life and is not limited to exclusively artistic endeavors. It can show up in day-to-day tasks like cooking or gardening. It's there in the ways we think about the world, approach our challenges, and manage our relationships. Today, we will share in a poetry service, where we will examine how a few chosen words can create a moment, frame an observation, express a truth. Thank you for joining us. Before we move into the service, there's a few announcements we would like to share. We will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all of this information. It is also available on our website. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first every month by email and per request by postal mail. If you have something newsworthy or that you would like to contribute, email uuchurchofriverside.calendar@gmail.com or call the church office at 951-686-6515. If you would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact the church office. A special thank you goes out to the organizers, Kate and Linda, and sincere appreciation to all the volunteers and supporters that participated in the fall yard sale fundraiser this past Friday and Saturday. UUCR semi-annual congregational meeting will be held after today's service in the sanctuary at noon. All members are welcome. Sandwiches will be served before the congregational meeting in the parish hall. Contributions are welcome and will be donated to the church fund. There will be a bake sale on the Sunday, November 19th. If you'd like to contribute on purchases, special treats, this is your chance. All proceeds go to the church fund. A memorial for Barb Gardner, will be held on Saturday, November 11th at 10:30 a.m. before the Women's Fed meeting. A visit to the Cheech Museum is planned after the memorial. All are welcome. Church Council meet on the second Friday of this month in the annex. The next meeting will be at 4 p.m. on November 10th. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. UUC member Alec Peck will be leading today's poetry sharing service. Alec Peck has been practicing UU for 25 years, raised in a UU church by his father, raised Quaker, and his mother, raised Jewish, though both are humanist in practice. Alec studied natural science at Creighton University, Jesuit institution, and is now completing his PhD at UC Riverside, while serving as chair of the worship committee and secretary of the board of trustees here at UCR. Poetry is an act of human expression and emotional healing for both the writer and the reader. To make art is uniquely human. We transform the world through art, and in turn, we are transformed by it. Today, we share poetry, which has changed and inspired us. Okay. We have two lightings of the sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous peoples' remembrance. Second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first in the sacred space of several groups of Indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the UU Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the steward of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with the space and opportunity to strive to live our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's reading for the chalice lighting is our welcome to share. Thank you, Bill. We light this chalice, our welcome to share, and our communion to declare. May this flame shine bright and afar to serve as our community's lodestar and our welcome from everywhere.
The indigenous people will always be with us, just not necessarily physically.
We have a tradition at UUCR to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. We know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, so I will ask for a volunteer from someone who's been here a while to tell us your name and how you found out about our church. We ask you to step close to the mic and speak in it directly and clearly so everyone can hear. However, be aware that you will be visible on Zoom camera, and this is a recording service posted online. Do we have any church members who would like to volunteer? Yeah, go, please, come on.
Sometimes we learn about people not by thinking about it afterwards. There'd been a drum circle here, had a wonderful time. I was raised Episcopalian, but was definitely not at that mode. So we have the drum circle, the old rhythms are playing, and then suddenly struck me. I'm surrounded by, stained glass windows. I've just gone through a drum circle, and a lot of them are not necessarily going to be necessarily a classically echo Christianity. And then I suddenly realized that it was okay, that they were basically saying, lock the joint up when you're ready to go. Hope you have a good time, and I hope your spiritual walk rewards you. Many people are trying to, they can only love you if they can clone you more than a little bit. The people who can love you without cloning you utterly, saying that we're all on a very large, strange trip together, but that there's a way to do it right, and a way to do it better, and a way to do it together. These are people that you want to keep track of as you move through life. I found this place, it found me. We've been doing this for quite some time.
Thank you. That's how it's done. If you are new here, a visitor or old friend, you could raise your hand to stand up and come to the mic in front of the pulpit.
Hello, I am Karen. Oops. Okay, I'm Karen Nash. I'm here with my husband Hank, and we are members at Shoreline UU in Washington. And we are staying for a month here in Riverside to meet our new grandson. His name is Mason, and we call him Miracle Mason. Thank you.
Good morning. Am I speaking into this correctly? This way? Up? Okay, thank you. I'm tall. My name is Liz. I was born and raised in Canada. I've lived in Riverside for 9 years now. And I was raised in a Dutch Calvinist tradition. I don't know if anyone knows about the Christian Reformed Church, and have gone to churches on and off since I was an infant. And the last 5 years, I haven't been going to church. And I came here today with my friend Nick, partly because, I've gone through some personal hardship in the last little while, but also I've been very upset about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and was feeling a need to reach out and be part of community with others in this kind of way. So that's kind of part of why we came.
Hi, my name is Haley. I'm from Texas. I'm from Waco. I grew up in the UU church there. I was childcare for the last few years there, and I just moved to Riverside a few months ago, and I decided to come meet all y'all and come see this community here.
How do we do it?
Go ahead, Susan.
Hello, my name is Dimitri Luna. I'm 12 years old. She's my mom right here. And I came here since I was 2 years old for a decade now. So I'm really glad I was able to come to this church and see how this church is doing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick. I'm originally born in New Zealand, and I've lived in Riverside for 22 years. And I actually came to the UU Church about 20 years ago with an Australian friend called Susie. And for a little while, we used to do the healing vespers. And I don't know if you still do something like that. We would get together and light candles for individuals that just needed some, love and prayers, or we would light candles for suffering around the world. So I don't know if that's something that you guys still do, but you want to get it started again, I would definitely be interested in coming along to something like that. But it's lovely to meet you all, and thank you.
I'm Marshall Harvey. I live in Marietta. I've been mostly a Quaker for many years, but I have sometimes attended the Unitarian Church in Chicago, especially in Hyde Park. There was a wonderful church there. I learned about this church on the web. I think it's 30 miles to a Quaker or Unitarian church for Marietta. But I'll tell you how I learned about Unitarianism. 1967, I was a high school student, Vietnam War era, lots of change of different kinds going on, and we were quite sheltered in our families. Weren't sitting there with our guns and Bibles, but we were sitting in our houses, kind of protected. And I went out with a girl who turned out to be the valedictorian of our class, and she was a Unitarian, and she invited me to go to Unitarian meetings on the weekend and talk with people, and they were talking about all of the things that were going on in the world, which was quite different from what we high school students had been doing in our own homes.
Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to introduce themselves, please? For other new guests, please join us for socializing and coffee hour after the service. We would love to chat with you in our parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you were here, and leave your contact information if you want to know about upcoming events. For those online, the best way to be added to the mailing list is to email the church at our office at adminuchurchofriverside.org. It is said that shared joy is double joy, shared sorrow is half sorrow. On the first Sunday of each month, we share the joys and concerns that we have received from you and which you have collected throughout the month. First, I'm going to read the joys and concerns which were given to us. Concern for the ongoing suffering in the Middle East. Joy for the luxurious extra hour of sleeping this morning. If there's anyone in the sanctuary who would like to speak their joy or concern, please raise your hand and we will invite you to speak here at the microphone.
I had a quick joy. My name is Alec still, and I had a quick joy I wanted to share. One of my friends from back home got married this past week, and that's really great for them. So you won't know them, but I'm really happy for them.
Need to put it in the joy and concern room. Thank you, Bill.
Joy shared is joy double. Sorrow shared is sorrow half. There is taking us back. Rough, because life is rough sometimes. It gives us purchase, it doesn't give purchase. But it's there, and our hands or roots reach for it and through it.
I usually speak after the talk, but I thought, I'll just do it now. We're at 9,500 Palestinians versus the 14. It's a ratio of approximately 6-1. Bear in mind, in the Vietnam War, we habitually claimed to kill 6 times at all times in the Vietnam War. Yet despite that and the claim by the administration that we had Saigon on our side, Tet occurred, even though they lost probably 6-1, they still struck us. I think we should bear that in mind as to what we're allowing Netanyahu to do. One very big problem that's probably coming is when Hezbollah decides to attack Israel, and King Jordan will allow that to happen. Suddenly, instead of the fight being over in Gaza, it will be in northern Israel. Imagine how that's going to look. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ren. A few months ago with the Joys and Concerns, I shared a great concern that I had about my health, with it being very uncertain. Well, I can definitively say that I have gotten the diagnosis of long COVID. It continues to be a concern, continues to seem to be getting worse, and we're looking for treatment options and just how to live life. There's been more and more days when I'm so completely exhausted that I'm bedridden. It's becoming multiple days in a row. Joyfully, the past few days have been pretty good and fairly energetic, and I'm feeling good today. So that's joyful. Thank you.
We placed a stone in our water chalice to represent the joys and concerns we have shared with our church and community, and in recognition of those we hold close and have not shared. May we remember those who have spoken, those who have been named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. We're going to sing now. Our hymn now is 1064, Blue Boat Home, from the Teal Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit in joining us in singing 1064, Blue Boat Home. This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brother Market gives our church a rebate on Stater's groceries, cards, which we will have in church each Sunday. Amazon gift cards are also available. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Dinah Rowe or Robert Braun in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who are with us today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? Remember, your presence is the true gift to the church. We're going to sing now, From You I Receive. And the next hymn is 402 from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body and spirit and join us in singing 402.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive.
Good morning, everyone. In honor of our poetry sharing today, our meditation today is an excerpt by E. E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing any lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are open. Now let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Now I would like to introduce Alec Peck, who will lead us in our poetry sharing. Alec.
Thank you, Grace. All right, give me just one moment. Thank you, and good morning again. So I had heard, well, my dad told me as a kid that the quote, music is just bad poetry with a beat, was said by Frank Zappa. And I looked it up and I couldn't find an attribution to him or actually to anybody else, but it is all over the internet. And I think that's not a bad aphorism. Certainly, I've tried to occasionally read the lyric to some pretty catchy songs, even well-known ones. Some of those Beatles songs, if you just read the lyrics as a poem, it's not that great, is it? And it, it's and in some ways it's easier to tell when you're listening to bad poetry than when you're listening to bad music, and it's even easier sometimes to tell when you're listening to bad poetry than when you're listening to poetry at all. Sometimes it's hard to tell when a very elegant prose slips into the realm of poetry. And I love music for many reasons, for its expressiveness, our ability to be personal with it. But I also think that music emphasizes one of the points of poetry, which is that it really matters how you say things. And just like UUism, our poems are flexible in their meaning. Their words are meant to be interpreted not only by you, but also by the person who wrote the poem, perhaps even also by the person who read the poem. And we can learn a lot about the human experience of the writer, the reader, and the listener, all of whom contribute to its meaning. And when we share art, we share a part of ourselves, not only a part of the artist who we might be sharing. The power of poetry is to persuade. We seek to be inspired into action. We want to be inspired to change ourselves, and that often requires more than just a logically convincing argument. No, it needs to be beautiful and aesthetic. It is the human place to transform things into art. Without us to see the world, there is no beauty. Nature itself tends towards chaos. As a physicist, I know that's written into the laws of thermodynamics. But even in random dust swirls, we observe and imbue beauty. Beauty is made from patterns and symmetry, among other things. And we see similarities and variations in rhythm and alliteration, in rhyme, in a familiar tune, irony, and metaphor. And natural random patterns are not good enough. No, we construct patterns, we make art. And this is a part of our vicarious nature to explore all the parts of the human psyche, maybe even the unpleasant parts, from a good, safe distance. One of my favorite authors is Edgar Allan Poe. I've brought my complete works just in case we ran out of poems to share. And I rather like dark poetry, even though in my writing I tend to like to sprinkle in a few jokes. But I really love reading dark material for some reason. But I also have a translation of Tao Te Ching, a old Taoist work, which is considerably older than Edgar Allan Poe's writings, but still in many ways just as influential on what I think it is to be and who I am. But rather than stealing the microphone right away, I want to ask, and I had asked a few people, and I think some have brought poems that they've written to share, others that simply favorite poems of their own. So if there's anyone who would like to share the first poem today, and if not, then I have Maggie, why don't you come on up, please? And if you'd like to share, and you don't have to, but if you'd like to share something about the author of the poem, and if you're the author, about when you wrote it, why and how, then I love to hear that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Okay, I wrote a poem. Can you hear me? Okay, I wrote a poem that came from an experience I had in summer of 2019. And it was one of those moments that stretches out really huge because it seems so profound. And it's really hard to put these things into words. And I don't know if I captured it, but for me, it was my best attempt at trying to capture that moment. So I'd like to share it with you. I was at that time in Michigan, which I had never visited before. And it was the summer solstice. So it was really, I think it might have been 8 o'clock at night, but the sun was still high. And anyway, here's the poem. This is called Elk Vision. Summer solstice evening, the sun slowly drifting into the western sky. In this northern land where night will be no more than an eye blink. Lazy golden haze weaving its dream into the forest green. We out searching the back roads for a rumored elk herd, which we do not find. What we find in a secret corner of a lost forest dwarfs any imagining. Above a bed of green ferns, like a branching bush, rises a rack of antlers. Slowly, almost ponderously, he rises to his hooves. A huge, stately buck elk. Majestic, regal, proud. He stands facing us with a rack of antlers in velvet, like a branched candelabra, rising from his brow. It needs no brass nor flames to announce his majesty. Something native to this earth and beyond all dreams stands regarding us in silent strength and power. And then he turns, slowly, stately, in command of his every heartbeat, and walks in strength and glory into the shadows of the trees.
Thank you, Maggie.
I've written a lot of poems for a long time, and I was looking for a style the last few years because I'm not writing very much. And I came upon this really free style, and I've written a number of poems in it. I think this is just part of a long poem that may just go on and on forever. This part of it's called Yellow Light, Blue Light. Yellow light contains no sociopathy. Beware, it can lead to a romantic view of reality. You may expect the yellow light to protect you. Blue light is hard, cold, and true. In graduate school, you can work under blue light. You can support a door on cinder blocks for a desk. Use a fluorescent light. Blue light doesn't always look blue, but it is. If you look at fluorescent light, you will realize it puts out blue light. So I'm talking about fluorescent light mostly. Yellow light contains your family, possibly someone at the kitchen table in the evening. I looked back in the past and tried to see a place in Europe at around the year 1100, and the first thing that struck me was yellow light in the room. Eventually, I saw a candle. When I was growing up, our stovetop had a blue light. It seemed very modern or up to date. blue light pouring out over the kitchen. We were just a family, but here, look, we had a modern blue light. Yellow light is fine, moving through old yellow lampshades. The sun of reality, Wallace Stevens' sun, reminds me of the fluorescent light. A yellow street light is something else entirely. Blue light from your phone can keep you awake at night. There are other lights. There is the light in the Hopper painting, Nighthawks, the diner light. Starlight is ridiculous. It flickers. Similar to starlight is the planet's light. Martian light is red. Jupiter and Saturn show steady white light, at least to my untrained eyes. Street lights vary. You see yours, I see mine. Neon lights speak to us of old times. Neon light pulls obscure storefronts out of dusk and night. The headlight of a passenger train bores into the darkness above the track. Halos are depicted as yellow or gold light. Few have witnessed them shining their light into our mundane reality as an actual physical light that no one could question the existence of. Still, they are yellow or gold light. Alien ships display different lights in general. White, I think. I think blue on occasion. The full range of colors is hard to research and master. Undoubtedly, we do not possess a full list of the possibilities. Car lights need no description. Continually, new lights appear on keyboards, amplifiers, even on shoes. Caravaggio liked to paint a bright light illuminating a person's face. Runway lights encourage safe landing at night. And I am sure, as I am sure you are aware, lights illuminate nightly major league action. A model sees lights as she walks down a runway. A 6-year-old might see a flash of light if he or she blindly turns to start off on a sprint and bangs into somebody's head with his own head. A lighthouse is thought of as lonely, and everyone knows the northern lights, even though few have stood under the skies where they appear most brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. I really like that. I also really like songs and poems about colors. I think it's a wonderful thing to meditate on. Thank you.
This is by Heather Christie. Once a first grader asked me how long a poem had to be. And when I said it could be just one word, he wrote a poem that was just his best friend's phone number.
Before the next volunteer, I'd like to share one of my poems. I'm going to open the book for show. I've actually memorized this one, and you'll see why, because this poem reminded me of it. This one's an Edgar Allan Poe poem called Deep in Earth. Deep in earth, my love is lying, and I must weep alone. Did anyone else want to volunteer a poem?
Let me preface this by saying that, can I be heard? Am I being heard? Okay. A few months ago, some of our ladies had a get together, and we were asked to make a poem, prepare a poem. And this just went right over the top of my head. I had not had any previous experience with writing poetry. So actually, this is my first attempt. When Grace said, let's do a poem, I said, okay, Dinah, get to work on this. You can do it. And so this is kind of it's short, but it's about where we live. And I titled it In Our Midst. In our midst, here's my list of our creatures great and small. The quail, the blue jays, the chipmunks, and let's don't forget the squirrels. Our friends, the donkeys, do prevail. You can always see their wagging tails. Their clan is growing. It sure is showing. Great creatures all. You can always hear them call. And let's don't forget our feline friends that have gone over the years. Ty, Smokey, Shammy, Ginger, and Baby Girl. All are now giving heaven a whirl. All our friends that God has blessed. And I want to credit my neighbor and friend, Sue, who I put this together and she added a couple lines. And so thank you, Sue, for your help.
That was wonderful, Dino. Oh, and Kate at the back, and sorry, and then yeah, then we'll start a queue. Yeah, and sometimes I'll reread poems that I've written, and I'll think, well, those weren't very good. But then I'll read poems by people who've won like awards and stuff, and I don't think those are very good either. So.
I have two poems to share. First one was written by a 15-year-old back in the 60s. Is God real? A man very old and bearded sits on a throne in heaven, ruling over the world. God is real. Is God real? Here and there and everywhere, residing in all churches, under different names, Allah is real. Is God real? Guiding through trouble His people who are living in this world to gain God's graces. Brahman is real. All gods are real. They are one and the same. The second poem was written by a young man, I didn't know, Matti J.T. Stepanek. I was going to read you a poem he had written when he was 7, and then changed my mind at the last minute. He started writing at the age of 3. He passed away at the age of 13. He had some major genetic disease. This was written probably about when he was 10. For our world, we need to stop, just stop. Stop for a moment before anybody says or does anything that may hurt anyone else. We need to be silent, just silent. Silent for a moment before we forever lose the blessing of songs that grow in our hearts. We need to notice, just notice. Notice for a moment before the future slips away into ashes and dust of humility. Stop, be silent, and notice. In so many ways, we are the same. Our differences are unique treasures. We are a mosaic of gifts to nurture, to offer, to accept. We need to be, just be. Be for a moment, kind and gentle, innocent and trusting, like children and lambs, never judging or vengeful, like the judging and vengeful. And now let us pray differently, yet together, before there is no earth, no life, no chance for peace.
Thank you, Kate.
I can't tell you how excited I was to hear this was Poetry Day. It's a big part of my life. I'd like to read a poem. I think it's my favorite contemporary poem by Diane Seuss, who wrote a book called Frank Sonnets, and it's a memoir written in sonnets. And this poem is about her friend who had died of AIDS, I believe. Things feel partial. My love for things is partial. Mikkel on his last legs, covered in KS lesions, demanded that I see the beauty of a mass of chrysanthemums. Look, he demanded. I lied and said I could see the beauty there, but all I could see was a smear of yellow flowers. I wanted to leave that place. I wanted to leave him to die without me. And soon that's what I did. Even the molecule I allowed myself to feel of our last goodbye made me scream. What would have happened if I'd opened my heart all the way, as I was told to do, if I wanted Jesus to live inside one of its dank chambers? Whitman told me to unscrew the locks from the doors and the doors themselves from the jambs. Let love come streaming in like when the St. Joe flooded Save-A-Lot and drove it out of business, the only store in town. Don't put my ashes in the river, Mikkel said. Put them in a tributary. I did. I put them in a tributary without touching them. Now I want to chalk my fingertips with them, but it's too late. I want to hold them like he held me and touched my upper lip and called it Cupid's cusp, a phrase that made me wince. I felt love all the way then and never since.
Thank you.
I'd like to share this. This was posted this morning on Facebook by Reverend Sophia Betancourt, who is the new president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And this is not her. This is a excerpt from a essay written by Naomi Shihab Nye. The essay is called "There Will Be Peace in the Holy Land," and I want to read what Reverend Sophia Betancourt said about the author first. Naomi Shihab Nye is a Palestinian-American poet who was raised in both Ferguson, Missouri, and Palestine. I so appreciate how she speaks directly to injustice in her writings while still holding the humanity of all at her center. We can use more of that in these days. So here's an excerpt from "There Will Be Peace in the Holy Land." In pumpkin seeds, in teachers, at grave sites, the grave of my grandmother, noted by an unmarked white stone. In the places where people kneel, crouch, press up against a wall, tuck a note into a crack, light a thin taper. In school desks and blank notebooks and blackened falafel skillets. The scent of dampness held in a windowsill. The small patches hand-stitched with yellow petals. The mess. You can make all the chaos you want and pretend that the wall is keeping you safe. You may be cruel or pious. You may not carry a weapon into any heaven ever described by any religion, but know that peace is patiently hovering inside of everything and will not belong to anyone and never has. And someday, someone wiser will welcome it again. And what a day that will be.
Thank you, Adam. Sandra, and then Bill, I promise you'll be after that.
Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. To preface this, by profession, I am a nurse, and I've been a nurse for 40 years. I have a desk job now, but I started out in critical care. And early on in my career, I had a woman who was terminally ill. Her family was fighting over what she was going to leave. And two of the sons ended up in a fist fight and ended up getting arrested at the in ICU, because this was back in the like 40 years ago where we would let everybody in. Okay, so this is by Rumi. Before death takes away what you are given, give away what there is to give. No dead person grieves for his death. He mourns only what he didn't do. Why did I wait? Why did I not? Why did I neglect to? So I have an assignment for everybody. You're going to leave today. You're going to tell the people who are important to you that you love them. You're going to hug them and you're going to buy them a donut.
Thank you for that reminder, Sandra. Bill, I believe you wrote a poem of your own that you wish to share.
I had some others too, but I'll hold them off for another time. Oh, I had a couple of others too, but I'll leave them off. Make sure that everyone's got chances. This one I wrote myself, called Tempus Fugit. Time flies. I thought I was going to be writing about time. It turned into a story about writer's block. I wanted, with 5 hours or less committed, to encapsulate, underline, and emboss the perfect line, no epic part omitted. Not quite a bon mot, but all lines relevant, no loss of meaning, momentum, and placement. Interlaced and intricate, deep thoughts, exposed with but a toss. And lines that, if transposed, would about face and still give meaning, subtle, strong, without a loss. So now conflicted, this is some time later. So now conflicted, I give chase. Position first, or rather pace. With time expanding, yet I need more time. Contacts and reason races against rhyme. In now even less time, with less time allotted, suspicions rise against the clock. There is a chance my perfect line will not encapsulate or will not rock. Nature, starry skies, won't say this poem. Scansion slips and matters gross and fine. The bardic fire absent, the response, mine. Lost time, lost poem would seem to be the theme. As time entangles, writer's block unfolds. Time, or is it inspiration lacking, poetic gold, to sheathe the work I speak of, protecting it from my hopeful dreams? So now my arrogance is lessened and I can see the work we do, scansion, rhyme, and meter battered. This poem yet might muddle through. And after all, we're universal. One particle won't sink our group efforts today, or so I think.
Thank you, Bill. In that case, to finish us off, oh, Walt, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I had to do it again. If you've wondered at times, it's been talked about in news programs, etc., what it was like to be in Nazi Germany in World War II. Why didn't the people respond faster? Why didn't they know about the ovens? Why didn't they know about the corralling of the Jews and repression, and then first shooting them as they would fall into the pit that was dug, and then after that, the gas chambers? Let me submit to you that we've entered into that same time, but we can ask ourselves, what should we be doing right now as Jaballah refugee camp has been bombed now 3 times, and the caravan of ambulances was also struck by Israel. And the claim is that Hamas drivers are driving all those ambulances, and so we had to slaughter them. I would suggest a good poem. Many of you probably know it, but those who do not, please pull up Simon Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence. It addresses this exactly. It's good poetry, a good song, and it rang very well back in the days of the Vietnam War. It applies right now.
So I found a very UU poem from Robert Frost. It's called The Secret Sits. We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows.
I always like it when duality and unity get tangled. What else are we supposed to do with a name like Unitarian anyway? Pantuns in the original Malay are quatrains of two thoughts, but of one mind. Athwart my two pontoons I sail away, while touching neither, land lies far behind. Catamaran.
Well, I was going to read Paul Revere's Ride, but I forgot to print it out. So you guys won. Because instead I'll substitute Ogden Nash's famous ode to a clumsy waiter. In fact, let me open it to you to quote it. Anyone? Lasagna, Anya.
Okay, I have two, please. The first one is Desiderata. Okay, I have two, please. The first one is Desiderata. This was written in the 1900s by Max Ehrham. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially. Do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is a perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imagings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should be. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all the shame, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Okay, this is the last one. This is called Invictus, wrote in 1875 by Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Yeah, sure. I think we'll have one more, and then I'll close off with a poem about poetry.
This is one of my favorite types of poetry, which is, I think, accidental poetry, where someone shares something, writes something, or just words seem to fall randomly and they're just so beautiful. This is a post someone made online written by Ender Girl, written presumably just after they had taken Ambien. The doctor knows the sleep is important and gives us the sleep. And I told her it's not every day, but there are days when I know. When I wake up and at noon and at 6 p.m., I'm not gonna sleep. And pain is deep and wide and the chasm of it is inside me. And she gave me 10 nights of sleeping, and tonight is one of those. It is the first. The light behind my husband illuminates him so that he looks like a saint in the Catholic Church. Words feel good in my mouth. The pain is gone, and I am to sleep.
Thank you for that. So I lied. First, I'm going to share a very short poem from, again, Edgar Allan Poe, which reads to me like a bit of personal advice. To FSO by Edgar Allan Poe. Thou wouldst be loved, then let thy heart from its present path part not. Be everything which thou now art, be nothing which thou art not. So with the world thy gentle ways, thy grace, thy more than beauty, shall be an endless theme of praise, and love a simple duty. But also I looked up poems about poetry for this service, and this one was my favorite one. So we'll finish here. The Power of Poetry by Tom Zart. Poetry is the lighthouse of life, guiding the lost from a stormy sea. Without its presence, darkness prevails, keeping us all from what we can be. Poems are used to convey passion by poets of both good and evil mood. Some are hateful and others loving, sharing thoughts to be consumed as food. Verse can lead us to glory or doom as we partake with others within, depicting our past, present, and future with words of man's grace or sin. People write poetry because they have no choice, answering the call of their gift, where some tend to pull their readers down, others compose to give them a lift. Always remember the power of poetry. It is used by both heaven and hell. It is up to us to choose our pleasure, as poetry remains alive and well. Thank you all for being here. Namaste. Blessed be, and amen.
So our closing hymn is number 131, Love Will Guide Us, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you and stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
So Adam just informed me that there was a Zoom comment that we overlooked. And this is from Pat Kawunder. She's joining us on Zoom today. So we'll hear from Pat. Hello, Pat. Oh, Pat, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Okay, my poetry offering is the first line of Sylvia Plath's morning poem, Love Sets You Ticking Like a Fat Gold Watch. That's it. Namaste. Did you hear me?
Thank you, Pat. Better late than never. Okay, so now we move on to our benediction. These are the days. These are the days that have been given to us. Let us rejoice and be glad in them. These are the days of our lives. Let us live them well in love and service. These are the days of mystery and wonder. Let us cherish and celebrate them in gratitude together. These are the days that have been given to us. Let us make of them stories worth telling to those who come after us. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Alec, and everyone for sharing your poems and thoughts with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you all again. Now we are, very good. Now we are welcome to adjourn into the parish hall, where we will have our first Sunday lunch and also the congregational meeting following the lunch. Thank you for joining us. At noon. At noon.